And Abigail, whenever you think it's we're safe to go ahead and get things started, I will leave that up to you.
I think we're good to go, Michelle. Okay. Good afternoon and welcome to the meeting of the Governor's Interagency Advisory Council on Homelessness to Housing Technical Assistance Committee. This meeting has been publicly noticed in compliance with Nevada's open meeting law. Chair Michelle Fuller-Halauer will call the meeting to order.
Good afternoon. It is 1:02 on August 19th, 2025, and I'd like to call the meeting of the Nevada Interagency Advisory Council on Homelessness to Housing Technical Assistance Committee to order. Abigail, would you please call roll?
Yes. Chairwoman Michelle Fuller-Halauer.
Present.
Vice Chair Brooke Page.
Present.
Austin Pollard. Dr. Pamela Janelle. Dr. Pamela Janelle. I think you're on mute.
You have to unmute yourself.
We still can't hear you, Dr. Janelle.
My apologies. I was taking a call and I had y'all on mute, so I apologize. Dr. Janelle is present. If that was what y'all were doing, please forgive me.
Thank you. Chris Murphy. Adrienne Babbitt.
Present.
Julie King.
Present.
Dr. Diana Turner.
Present.
Dr. Katrina Grigsby Thedford. Okay, Madam Chairwoman, we have quorum.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here today. Item number 2 is public comment. No action may be taken on a matter raised until the matter has specifically been added to the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. If you're making a public comment via phone, excuse me, please call 1-775-321-6111. The ID number is 489-058-294#. We're now open for public comment. Please unmute yourself and state your name for the council. Any public comment? I'm not seeing anybody looks like they're coming off of mute on the video. Anybody on the phones? Have we had any email messages come in for public comment?
There is none.
Okay. Then seeing no public comment at this time, I will just remind folks that there is a second public comment at the end of this meeting. So at this point, I will close this public comment and we will move on to agenda item number 3 for possible action, a discussion and possible approval of the minutes from July 15th, 2025 of the Interagency Advisory Council on Homelessness to Housing Technical Assistance Committee meeting. For our Technical Assistance Committee members, the minutes should be included in your appointment notice that was sent to your calendars. So your minutes can be found there. I will open this for any comments or edits that need to be made to the minutes. So we'll allow a moment for you to give any comments or edits. And if there are none, I will receive a motion for approval.
This is Brooke for the record. I move to approve the minutes.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Dr. Janelle, for the record, I second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please unmute yourself and indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody who disapproves of the motion, please unmute yourself and indicate by saying nay. Any abstentions, please unmute yourself and indicate as such. Motion carries. We'll close item number 3. Moving on to item number 4 for possible action. Discussion and possible vote to fill a vacant seats with candidates that have submitted their applications. I believe we had one person that submitted their application. That application went out to the committee for vote. Those votes were to be back to the admin team for compilation. Abigail, will you or a member of your team give us kind of a rundown on where we are with the voting and scoring for that application?
Of course, as you can see, the total score we got for Arash Ghaffori is 107. Out of 9 active members, we have 7 who submitted their scoring matrix. That's the table that you're seeing right now.
Thank you. Any discussion on the score or conversations on the application for Arash Ghaffori to join the Technical Assistance Committee?
Dr. Janelle, for the record, thank you all for being patient with me as I was out of town for like a week and playing catch up. So I'm really glad that I had the opportunity to be able to participate in acknowledging Mr. Ghaffori's experience. And I'm also glad to see that the data that was also submitted there shows that there's like quite a bit of consistency in the scoring. So I'm glad to know that I wasn't too off base, even though, you know, I may have my own personal bias because, you know, we've worked together in the past. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Janelle. Any other? Sure.
Brooke, for the record, I was curious just about how we approach and if there's any logic around geographic representation, if we've got like a prioritization discussion or things that we have in like our charter or things in terms of representation of this committee and how we decide how we score that. I think it's a bit subjective.
That's a great question, Brooke. It is subjective. There was discussion, just historical context. There was discussion a few years ago around the necessity to have representation from each kind of COC catchment area, and to also have representation from folks that serve the whole state on this group, and recognizing that when this original scoring matrix was created, there was only one person on the Technical Assistance Committee from Southern Nevada catchment area. The majority of folks on this group were actually from the Washoe County area. So that was kind of the reason the state geographic representation had been added to the scoring matrix. What I think that you bring up a good concern, or something that maybe this team might not need to consider for us going forward, is in that we may need to do some definitions, or maybe kind of what does lived experience entail? What does state representation entail? That we want X number percentage or whatever of representation from this area or this area or this area. You know, what are we trying to accomplish? If, you know, some guidelines, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Because I think you are correct that there is some subjectivity to just those areas. Or, you know, we do have a completely different team at this point, and we may want to reconsider what we're scoring on, and what does that look like moving forward for team members. And we can, as a committee, we have the option of determining what that looks like. We can't do that under this agenda item today, but we can set that as an agenda item for a future meeting and have a broader deeper discussion, and determine what that looks like for future members.
Thank you.
Dr. Janelle.
Yes, Dr. Janelle, for the record, thank you very much for bringing up that very important point. And Madam Chairwoman, thank you very much for speaking to that, because that was a question for me too. I do remember when I joined this subcommittee some years back, when we had like a discussion on it, and I would love if we could, you know, revisit this, simply because the information I had to go on in order to make some specific selections with regards to voting. Because I actually had some knowledge of this individual, I was able to, you know, at least make like some different choices in some areas, because I knew the person personally, where we may or may not have had committee members who may or may not. And so I think revisiting the parameters would be applicable. But what I do know about the organization that Mr. Ghafouri is currently running, and I mean, I don't want to speak for Madam Chairwoman, because we were in different capacities, and that's actually how we met, was at their summit. There was like an expansion to statewide servicing, because the summit that they do host is now considered a statewide conference, where in the past several teen years it was not. So those are some of the things that I took into consideration in making some of my selections with the information that was provided for me. Thank you so much.
Other thoughts from the council? There's no other discussion. Does someone want to make a motion to either accept or decline Mr. Gafori's application to join the council.
For the record, I move that we accept Mr. Gafori as a member of the council.
Adrian Babbitt, I second.
We have a motion. We have a second to accept Mr. Arash Gafori as a member of the ICHH Technical Assistance Committee. All those in favor, please unmute yourself and indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody that opposes this nomination, please unmute yourself and indicate by saying nay. Motion carries. Mr. Arash Gafori is now a member of the Technical Assistance Committee. Welcome. Is he with us today?
He is not, but we will go ahead and send the notice to Mr. Gafori.
Okay. And since he is not with us today, then I move that we table the next agenda item number 5, which is introduction of new and continuing members of the ICHH Technical Assistance Committee, since he would be the new member and that would be for his edification. Can I just say that and move on? Abigail, am I allowed to do that?
We'll list it on you. Well, you can, but you can also discuss that later on the agenda item number 8.
Okay. So with that, we'll move on to agenda item number 6. We have a presentation from Campus for Hope Foundation, and Ms. Kim Jeffries has joined us. Welcome. We are excited to hear about Campus for Hope. So thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you so much for the invitation. Happy to be here. Can you all hear me okay? Just want to make sure. Okay, I see head nods. I just kind of raise of hands, if I can see your hand, or even the virtual hand. How many of you have heard about Campus for Hope, have an idea of what's happening relative to this? Okay, most people. I'm going to kind of skip through the front part and give more of a status of where we are. But if you want to just, can I control the slides or no? Okay. If you want to just skip to the next 2 slides, to slide number 3, that would be great. So we all know that the challenges that we're experiencing in this community when it comes to homelessness are pretty significant. To give you some context, I came from San Antonio, and the model that Campus for Hope is taking and adjusting for this community here. So did Asia Leha, who's on this call, and she is the chief of staff. And then we recently hired Dr. Albert Chavez, who is our chief program officer. So we were able to get him to come over and join our team from Catholic Charities most recently. So we're excited to have a local expert and somebody who's been in the space here locally on the team as well. But to give you some context, in San Antonio, we're about the same size city. About 2.4 million people as the city of Las Vegas. And I know the point in time count is flawed in its own nature of the one-day count, but our point in time count is around 3,300. And the point in time count here is about 7,900. So that gives you an idea of the impact that the 15 years of having a campus like this has had on the San Antonio community. I think there's a couple of things that were shocking when we looked at the data over the past 5 years with our working group on this, on the point in time count, and that's the increase in family homelessness. You all are seeing it, 450% over the last 5 years, and then first-time homelessness increasing at a rate of 81% over the last 5 years. And so more and more people falling into homelessness. I'm not telling you something you don't already know, but the data proves it out in the HMIS system. And so we're here as a campus, you can go to the next slide, to really provide a significant capacity intervention in this space. In the homeless response system, we know that there needs to continue to be prevention, and there needs to continue to be investments in housing and affordable housing development and permanent supportive housing. And so those are kind of our bookends, and we're going to sit in the middle of the system. But it's really a public-private partnership with the Resort Association largely and other business industry contributing $100 million and the state matching that $100 million for us to build our 20-acre, 900-bed campus. So when you talk about 900 beds, we're adding significant capacity in this space and in this community so that people can hopefully get off the streets and start to work to transform their lives. You can go to the next, just skip the next slide and go 2 down, that's fine. Really, our goal is to create a comprehensive campus that meets people with dignity and respect, and that gets at the underlying cause of their homelessness. And so this is a campus isn't going to do all the things. It's a hub and spoke model. So it's really about campus creating the infrastructure and the environment and paying for lights and maintenance and all of those things and security, and bringing partners to the table who can bring the best of what they have to offer to help us get at that underlying cause of what led to somebody's homelessness. So anything and everything, you can go to the next slide, that somebody might need to rebuild their lives will be on our campus. Medical, dental, vision, behavioral health services, substance use treatment, workforce development, obviously housing navigation, education supports, GED classes, ID recovery, basic needs. I think when people are experiencing homelessness, you all know this, they're in survival mode. And it's really hard when you're in survival mode because your brain is wired differently to think about what's next for you. So it's really, how do we meet their basic needs of, a place to sleep, safe place to sleep, their meals, clothing, all of that kind of stuff, but then give them the time and the space they need to address those other causes. So whether it's ID recovery or childcare or kennel, cattery, all kinds of things we'll have on our campus. So anything and everything that somebody might need. And really the goal is to help people who have had a difficult time integrating into community and, using the resources around them, because there's a lot of great things happening in this community, but this gives them a place to go where they know those services are there on that campus and they can easily navigate them. And then they learn and they take that skill with them, and they take the support networks they've built with our partners on campus out with them in the community. And in San Antonio, we had significant impact on individuals. And so our 1-year housing retention rates, if we permanently house somebody from the campus, were 92%, and they were still housed a year later. And the 10-year housing retention rates range between 87% and about 92%. So the lowest 10 years later, 87% of them are still permanently housed. And that's really about getting at that root cause. So getting that better job, helping with childcare subsidies or getting them enrolled in those things, getting a career path, addressing that, substance use or mental health challenge that somebody might be experiencing that makes it harder for them to kind of navigate this world. So any and all of the above really making a difference. And that's our goal, is permanent housing. It's always going to be permanent housing. It's we're a stop on their journey. In San Antonio, the average stay is about 4 months. We anticipate it'll be longer here because the affordable housing crisis is a little bit deeper here than it was in San Antonio. And so just how it works, you can go to the next slide, is the way it's set up is under the legislation. Each municipality that's participating is required to have a regional navigation center. So the city of Las Vegas, the Courtyard will be their navigation center. The county has some hotels that are their navigation centers. City of Las Vegas still figuring it out. So we'll figure out what those navigation centers are, but that's where individuals will go, and then they'll be moved to the campus. It doesn't prohibit us from creating other ways for individuals to get to campus. So we're creating entry point partnerships with trusted partners. So eviction courts and outreach teams and other people who are the first line of where somebody might go when they first move to experiencing homelessness, so that we can get at this criminal justice system, so we can move people from those points of entry directly onto campus. So we have a working group, and we're going through all of this right now and working out the details of a lot of these things. The first thing we tackle, you can go to the next slide, is really the campus profiles. because we will have families and children on campus, there is a need for some sort of safety. So we had to look at what are the campus profiles that we can and will have the capacity and the ability to support holistically. And that, economically displaced families, obviously, and individuals, obviously, singles with low to moderate acuity. So people coming out of detox, so not active in their addiction, but people coming out of detox who have stabilized. We can be a step down facility there. Individuals with mental health challenges, just not acute mental health that are in psychosis and those kinds of things. Again, doesn't mean we can't be a step down from a facility that gets them stabilized and move them onto campus after that. But there has to be a little bit of that stabilization to be in the campus environment. And you'll see why in a second when we talk about the requirements for eligibility. So individuals exiting kind of adjacent systems, criminal justice system, those kinds of things, eviction court, healthcare systems, and don't have a place to go from the hospital. And then individuals fleeing domestic violence. We obviously aren't the first point and won't ever want to be the DV provider in this space. But in San Antonio and same here, there's just not enough beds in the community. And so we end up being overflow for domestic violence. Veterans aren't specifically called out here because they're kind of across this continuum, but veterans are, obviously included in a part of who will be serving on this campus. They can be in many or all of these categories, and these categories are not, there's so much overlap in all of them. So individuals may have multiple client profiles, but we did this to say, who are we serving? How do we fill the gaps? What are the services that they need? And we can create the right mix of housing interventions for those individuals as well. You can go to the next slide. Just a few things to kind of update you on that we've worked through with the working group. We have figured out what the residential beds, so what's the makeup of the actual beds on campus going to be. So 37%, a little more than a third of them will be dedicated to families, 42% for individuals, so males and females in separate spaces. We also heard a need in this community to separate out some other individuals. So 3 kind of co-ed spaces, young adults, 18 to 24. There's a significant amount who are unsheltered in this community. That went up by 94% last year in the point in time count. So lots of 18 to 24-year-olds here who are literally on the streets. So we want to help solve for that. We know there's Shannon West and other great things, but the capacity is needed here. Unmarried couples, so men and women who don't have children and are not married, but don't want to separate to go into a typical shelter environment. So creating space for them and then creating safe space for LGBTQ individuals. So all of these, we're working out, are they wings of dorms? Are they their own kind of dorm space? What does that look like? And these are dorm style settings. So we want it to be comfortable and beautiful and want them to have as much choice as they can, but also don't want it to be so amazing that they don't want to leave, because this is not a permanent place. This is a temporary home for individuals as they're working through whatever they decide they want to work through in their person-centered plan. So 2-door room, bathrooms at the end of the hallway, single restrooms in some of the more sensitive areas. So there's enough space for that. Families will get their own rooms, but they'll be a typical kind of dorm style. And there'll be other things on the campus. It will be like a little city. So obviously childcare center, after school care, indoor kennels and a cattery, kind of like this retail shops, but they're all free to our clients. So like clothing stores, barbershop, beauty salon, post office, credit union, things, snack distribution, snack bars, so that they can get their needs met, but also work in those environments and volunteer in those environments and help build the community and build skills in each other as they're moving through that. Fitness center, gym, there'll be a chapel, spiritual services for people who want to engage in that, and for faith-based organizations to engage with us. Micro enterprise, cafe, bakery, introduction to trade center. We understand that many of our clients may not be able to work in the gaming industry because of licensure and backgrounds. And so working with the construction industry, knowing that there's always construction going on, because Vegas is known for blowing things up and reinventing them. And so there's always construction. So how do we get people into not just a job, but a trade. And so working with construction trades on our project to get them engaged so that they'll do introductory courses on our campus and those kinds of things. So we'll have a center for that. We'll have a continuum of workforce development across, from volunteering on campus to stipend work to working on campus to working off campus, so that we can kind of meet people wherever they are in their journey and help support them to get there. The campus eligibility requirements, they have to be a resident of the state of Nevada. That's just under the legislation required. We're working out what that looks like and how we verify that. They will have to pass a background check. We won't have registered sex offenders on the campus, unfortunately, because we have children. We worked with our working group to be as lenient as possible when it comes to that. So we have kind of what is a absolute no, what is an absolute yes, and most things fall kind of in the middle, where we look at what the background is and what the circumstances have been since then. So really trying to be as inclusive as possible, but still maintain safety. They do have to be committed to sobriety while on campus. What that looks like is doing a urine analysis before they come on campus, so we know that they're sober, which is why we have to be a step-down facility and we're not somewhere where somebody is in active addiction. But happy to take them. We aren't going to be and we don't care about THC, marijuana. We're not worried about that. But we want to be we're not going to be a zero tolerance. So if somebody's on campus and they stumble, it's more, the conversation ends up being more of what happened, what were your stressors, what led to that? Can we give you and develop other strategies to help you manage that anxiety or stress or whatever led to that issue where you needed to go drink or use or whatever that is, and help get them back on track. Obviously, if it's a pattern over time, that's a different story. And then they'll be required to engage in programming and volunteer or work on campus. So everybody's going to have to do a person-centered plan at a minimum that has income plan and a housing plan. So how are you going to get income? That could be benefits if they're a veteran or if they're disabled. It could be obviously a job or career or the next level job. And then what does your housing look like? The next two are just a couple of renderings, just to give you an idea. It's like its own little city. It's 20 acres. So residential buildings, kind of some retail looking buildings kind of on the bottom, the gym, playgrounds, open space, really trying to create a trauma-informed environment to meet people where they're at. So we shift from the what's wrong with you and how do we fix you to what happened to you and how do we help you overcome it. And we want to do that through the design as well. The timeline for this is we are still in design and construction. So we're still in design right now. We're preparing the site this fall and then won't really start vertical construction until next summer. And then through the end of 2027 and open hopefully by spring 2028. And I skipped over January through May, and I skipped it intentionally because we are still going to be in design. And so we're going to RFP for partners. So we're going to do a request for partnership for services on the campus in Q1 of 2026. So that will come out. And in Q2, we'll do site visits and kind of discussions with individuals who have submitted and then make selections so that by next summer, we know who's going to be on campus. And then those partners, if they're in a space that they want to have some input on the design, will have that opportunity then. And so it will also give us, a good 18 months or so before we open to work out data collection requirements and all of those things, because we want to make it easy on our partners. We want to do the heavy lift. And so we want to build out the APIs so you only have to enter data once. We want to make sure you're set up for success while you're on our campus, and we can help you build out whatever capacity you need leading up to opening, all the training that we want everybody to do, making sure we're a culture fit, making sure partners know exactly what's happening on campus and how that's happening. And so we'll have partner meetings throughout that whole time so all the partners can know each other, work together, and really help us build out kind of the best of what this community has to offer to benefit the clients that end up on our campus. And with that, I'm going to stop and I'm happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
Thank you very much. That a lot of information, and you've really thought through, very thoughtfully thought through the process and what you're bringing to the community. So I appreciate that. Any questions from the committee? Brooke.
Hi, Kim. Nice to
Hi.
see you again, and Asia. Thank you for this really comprehensive presentation. It's really helpful to see it presented this way. And I was curious, we as an interagency advisory technical assistance group are working to sort of support the action plan of the state. Is there partnership opportunities or things that you think at a systems level that we should be doing to help support your you said the hub and spoke kind of model? I know that there's probably a lot of conversations that you all are having around partnerships and recognizing that there is a, you know, a need for also for folks that may be in active use or folks that are sex offenders and folks that are coming out of institutions that may need supports too. How can we support you all in your model and address ideas for the, you know, additional supports that are needed in the community?
It's a great question, and a great thought, because again, campus is here to complement and add to, and there are other low barrier shelters that are serving those populations right now, but there's still not enough capacity relative to that. There's not enough substance use treatments. There's not enough behavioral health, beds, psych beds in the community. So I think really kind of helping. Obviously we're focused right now on getting campus set up and running, but we also know that without the whole system, we're gonna fail. So we need the system to work too. So happy to have conversations with you. I think it's really us working with you all and partners and the coalitions to really do a really good homeless response system mapping of who's doing what, because we want to do that too. We want to lift up, yes, campus is doing this work, but without the people in the low barrier shelter space, this community would have a significant situation, a much more significant situation, and there's still not enough. And so I think, recuperative care and things that are expanding, there's a lot of good happening in this community. So it's really getting an inventory across the continuum of where there are things coming online and where there are continue to be gaps, and we'll be able to help support that with data over time. But in the interim, we have access to the Resort Association and their collective power and advocacy. And so if there are things that we collectively should do, or you all are working on as a coalition in the next legislative session, we can work to support that, because there's going to be significant alignment with what you're doing and how it's going to impact our campus. And so I think really looking at, and I know we talked about this a little bit, Brooke, like that system kind of mapping and where things are working well and where there needs to be additional capacity, because I know people in the space have a good idea about it, but I don't necessarily think funders know how it all works together in the collaborative nature of what's happening or what's needed. It was the same in San Antonio. It was always a constant battle to educate, our lawmakers and local elected officials about how we were working together and where there were still gaps needed. And we got there over time, but it took a few years and a lot of voices.
Thank you so much. Just had a conversation with Councilwoman Cohn today, so that's great. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Dr. Janelle.
Thank you, Dr. Janelle, for the record. It's a pleasure to finally meet you in the flesh or in the screen, Ms. Jeffries, and thank you for the wonderful presentation. I actually represent Nevada Department of Education, and I was curious, have you had any interaction with anyone at NDE or, and then also on your campus? I know that you said that you shaped this similar to the framework and the infrastructure of San Antonio. Do you actually have like a committee or a board where there's representation for like education in terms of service provision and supports?
Great question, and great to meet you as well. We've connected locally with CCSD, and so they're a part of our working group. So somebody from their Title I Hopes program that works with kids experiencing homelessness on their schools under McKinney-Vento. And so we are connected with them on kind of the local level. We have not connected at the state level. So would love to to do that and have those connections made so that we can.
That would be
really
me.
Okay, then yay.
I'm your state coordinator.
Okay. Would love to connect with you because we have a technical advisory committee in addition to the working group. And so there's an opportunity for, for people in other spaces to join the technical advisory group in addition to the working group, just so we have good representation across both those so that we get the right kind of feedback and connections as we're moving through this. And you asked an original question, and I think I another question and I'm blanking on it.
It's okay. Well, no, that's okay. Well, please feel free to email me directly. And I know that our staff will, share that information. Go for it, Abigail. But then also just wanted to, just kind of let you know what you were talking about, building connections. And that's one of the reasons why I asked if you had contacted anyone at the state level, because we are developing our Nevada Compass app, which is the app that my office is having built, and it should be done by the fall to like operate as triage, where we would actually list providers. And of course, Campus for Hope would be one of those. So we wanted to be sure that we connected with you with all of the different items and the service areas in terms of wraparound. But then also, I hope you also continue to have a working relationship with our committee here, but I'll let you work with Madam Chairwoman and the rest of the crew on how that is being done as well. So I'd like to have continued conversations with you so that we can just maintain a relationship at the state level as well for education. Thank you.
Absolutely. It's so important. I think our kids, who end up on campus tend to be transient in nature, and there's a lot of things that get missed in their education. And a lot of times, whether they have a disability or a learning disability or something like that, they get missed because they're just popping from school to school and they don't have the consistency and attendance issues, and they get behind and all of those things. So we want to make sure we're providing that consistency while they're on campus, but then transitioning them well when they leave.
Yeah.
So I'd love to pick your brain about that.
Yes, and our Title I Hope team is just exemplary. And so I'm very honored to be able to oversee the work that they do. I did have one more short question was, I noticed that in the service areas with regards to wraparound, you mentioned education and workforce development. And I know that this may be out of scope for Campus for Hope. Is there any opportunity beyond the community presentation that you have here where you would be available to also educate service providers? Because sometimes the education of service providers is something that may be fruitful and a great place in terms of, because sometimes, and I'll just kind of speak for myself as a service provider, I may be, imposing what my view of what service would look like for someone versus building my own capacity to be in a space to listen to those who have needs may need. And so I think that that's very important because sometimes it's one directional versus bi-directional. And I would love to pick your brain at another time because I want to leave space for others to contribute to the conversation. But that is something that I would like to explore with you all as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. Would love to explore that with you. And part of the reason we brought Dr. Chavez on board is, has a lot of experience with training and developing training protocols and systems. And we'll do that for not only our team and the partners on campus, but happy to do that for the community as well, if there's a need. Okay.
Albert.
Thank you all. Thank you all for your time this afternoon. And yeah, I had my hand up at first, but then I took it down. I put it back up. I had a few things to say. Campus, so and I think everybody on this call most of the people on this call have been in the community for some time. And we've worked through a lot of different, working groups and things of that nature to really take a look at what the need is in Southern Nevada and how we can better serve the individuals that are living without home. And I know that Campus for Hope is most certainly going to be a game changer for Southern Nevada. It's exciting to be part of this foundation and part of this group and starting from sort of the ground up. at the same time, I hear what you're saying in terms of, Kim said earlier, the homeless response system. So we went on outreach this morning, and there are, I mean, we're all passing by encampments, and we're all passing by people on the street on a daily basis. It isn't until you get to that encampment that you see how massive the issue is with regard to homelessness. And we, in terms of outreach workers need answers now. When you're thinking about an individual who's ready to change, that readiness to change is a short window. So the whole thought process is, if we can get somebody to move from where they are to somewhere else, because it's that whole cliche, old like AA saying, sick and tired of being sick and tired. If they're sick and tired of being sick and tired now, being able to move them somewhere. But the thought process today, at least when we were out there, was, this is all my stuff. Everything that is of any kind of value to me is right here. And if I know me, I'm gonna mess this up. So I can go to treatment, but I know that I'm going to mess this up. And when I get back here, I'm not going to have anything. So we think that the thought process is, yes, this is going to be an awesome thing for our community. At the same time, the system work that needs to be done and continually be done needs to be done with us as partners in this system, because the system is what's broken. And I think, one of the things that we ran into today was we ran into an elderly couple, and the outreach folks told me that they had called APS several times, and APS wasn't able to get out there and meet with them. So it's those kind of things that we need to take a look at. And I've spoken with Kim, and I'm so inspired to work for her. I'm so excited to work with her. And so the thought process is to take a look at the next legislative session and say, like, this is what else we need. Our state is being, our area certainly, but our state's being overrun by so much need. And at the end of the day, those are people that are out there. And when you go out there and you talk to them in encampments, you find out, oh, these are people. These are people. And so I think this is a great start. It's going to be a trauma-informed, person-centered campus. I know that we're going to have a whole bunch of really cool options for our clientele. But then what? And so I think it's that whole kind of thought process to say, I'm really excited to be part of this mission and this vision. And I'm also excited to hear y'all saying, like, hey, what else can we do? Because I think that in order to change things, it's going to take, groups like this to continually push, pick up and carry the flag. So that's all I can say.
Julie?
Thank you. I was hoping we could go back to that slide that shows the percentages of, single female, single males, and then I have a question related to that. I think that was it right there. 10, I think was it?
Yeah, 10.
Okay. Trying to look at that really tiny on the left-hand side. Okay, so this is 58. So this is roughly 100%, 8,
Yes.
21. Okay. So I'm wondering, where would married couples without children fit into the picture?
Same as unmarried couples. Sorry, any kind of
Okay.
couples up.
Okay.
The other thing we saw in San Antonio when we opened the couples rooms, because we opened them about 6 months after I got to the campus, is we had a lot of families who had older children with IDD and autism, where normally if the 18-year-old or 21-year-old would have to separate from their parents, and so we could keep them together in those rooms. We also used them for people like me who are, in their 50s, who are taking care of aging parents, so that they could stay together in rooms. And it doesn't mean that, if they're both female, we wouldn't want to put them in the female dorm, but beds don't always come up together. So having those couples rooms available was helpful in those arenas. So I love that ask because we can change that to say married or unmarried couples because we don't want to be exclusively and that's not, or just change it to couples and then really explain it. I appreciate that feedback.
Okay. All right, cool. Thank you.
That was a great question and a great explanation. And maybe the term couples, just a observation, maybe the term couples is a bit of a misnomer, because what I heard was it's not always couples. It might be, I heard it could be a parent-child, a grandparent, grandchild. It could be any makeup of two adults without a minor child.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of makes me wonder too, how sorry, Julie came for the record. So kind of, how are we defining families in this sense? Is it there's at least one person over the age of 18 and at least one person under the age of 18, or is there some other definition or definitions that we're using?
Julie, I love that you read my mind on that because family compositions is extremely important, especially when we may have a grandparent raising children as well. So thank you for bringing that up. And I'm going to go on mute and be real happy because I can't wait to hear the response for this.
No, any and all families. So whether it's single fathers, with one child, single mothers, two-parent households, grandparents raising children, any kind of family, or even like older siblings raising younger siblings. So to your point, Julie, as long as one is over 18 and there's one under 18, that's considered to be a family unit that we would keep together.
Okay.
And then we also have to look at guardianship too, because sometimes there's some court appointed.
Yep.
Situations. And I can speak to that from lived experience because, man, I was a ward of the state till I was 21. Didn't know what to do with myself.
Yeah. I can't wait to meet you in person.
Objects may appear shorter. I know our Madam Chairwoman gets that one. Thank you.
So, Ms. Jeffries, you are getting a lot of unsolicited feedback, whether you like it or not.
Oh, no, it's always welcome. And the entire time, if you hear anything or see anything we're doing and it doesn't align with the core values that you have, call us on the carpet on it. We're always open to feedback, and we'll have lots of opportunities for our clients to give us feedback through residence councils and town halls and formal processes and all kinds of stuff.
You may regret you said that because this group has no problems giving.
Now I know where to come when I'm like, hey, this is kind of, an issue. Help us fix it.
And we are also a safe space. I just want to put that out there too.
I will tell you, we are still soliciting members for our technical assistance committee. So, you or one of your members of your newly created team might want to apply to be a technical assistance committee member. We are glad to, at least evaluate and see if they're a good fit for our technical assistance committee. So it might be something to consider as we move forward. Although it sounds like you have a lot on your plate right now. Okay, other thoughts, ideas, suggestions, feedback? Okay, with that, I just want to say, Kim, I was telling Albert as the meeting was started that one of the things I've been remiss in doing is reaching out to you. I wanted to sit down and have coffee or meet with you, talk to you. I'm so happy to hear that, Albert is now on your team. I would love to sit down and have coffee and just get to meet you, talk to you a little bit. I definitely know the lay of land in Southern Nevada. Albert can fill you in on that a little bit if he wants to. But love to do that. Thank you so much for being here today and sharing with us, what the vision and mission and view and longer term anticipation for Campus for Hope is in Southern Nevada. We really look forward to partnering with you as you make this vision come to fruition. And we really are here to help support in whatever way that we can. And, I know that I speak for the other members of this committee that if there's anything that we can do individually or collectively, please reach out. And we will do whatever that we can, because having these beds in the community in our state is critical to help us in addressing and ending homelessness. And so we want you to be a success. So thank you. Thank you
so
for being
much.
here. We
Very
welcome you to
beautiful.
stay for the
Yeah.
rest of the meeting. Unfortunately, we can't have you speak in the rest of the meeting until the public comment at the end, but you are welcome to listen. We'll be talking about our strategic and action plan during the next part of our meeting. So feel free to listen, be a fly on the wall, and gather information as we go forward.
Thank you for having us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so with that, we will go ahead and close this agenda item, and we will move on to agenda item number 7. This is a for possible action item to review the current strategic plan and action plan and discuss any revisions that need to be made. And just for some clarification or for some history on this agenda item, at our last meeting, we had a presentation from the Nevada Homeless Alliance and our Lived X consultants on the last legislative session, and some of the laws that were passed. And we wanted to do a crosswalk on how those laws would impact our strategic plan and our action plan. And so our homework was to really look at those and come back and have a deeper discussion on what that would be. So that's the purpose for this agenda item. So here we are. This agenda item is open for discussion. So is anybody ready for that discussion? Don't everybody talk at once.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, would it be, and I'm a visual person, is there any way that we could like get the spread of the document again? Thank you. Dr. Janelle, again, for the record, this is why I love you, Brooke Page.
So question, how many did the crosswalk? Did a crosswalk between the various laws or bills and bills that passed and how they would affect our action plan? Adrian, are you raising your hand to say something, or are you raising your hand as an answer to my question?
It was an answer to your question. I didn't know how else to identify that I have done the homework.
Awesome. You did the homework. I did the homework. Okay. Dr. Janelle, did you do the homework?
Dr. Janelle, for the record, I'm asking a question with regards to when was the homework sent out? Because I think my alter ego may or may not have done it.
We talked about it at the last meeting.
Yes, and I think I was out of town on that, so.
I think you were here.
No, I was, no, not for the meeting, but for the homework part. Thank you. I will be actively engaged. Thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman.
Okay. So Adrian, do you want to start with some of your ideas, and we will we can tag team and talk about what we found.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was a little overwhelming to sort of dive into all of the policy and then compare it to our strategic plan, because I felt like there were some policy that I couldn't figure out where exactly to fit into the strategic plan. And I apologize for being off camera. I have to pick up my kids from school, so I'm sitting in my car outside of the school right now, and I'll have to break at about 10 after to collect. The ADU policy was the one that I initially started with, where it talked about requirements for jurisdictions to have some sort of ordinance for ADUs, and with the intention of ramping up production, making it easier for ADUs to be in existence. And I was curious if there were some possibilities to combine the housing legislation like 540 to say, you know, can we like master lease ADUs? And if you agree to do that, then there is a dedicated grant from 540 to, I mean, and I know I'm probably thinking too deep on this, but that was my initial, like, this could be a real opportunity to look at this funding for affordable housing and this requirement to have ADUs and providing some more affordable housing placement. So I think what I wrote, let me look at my pictures. Is there a way to add like incentives for partnerships or 540 funding activities? Can we create a new activity on strategic issue 1 that reflects promoting education on ADUs? Pausing for feedback because it's sort of all swirling around in my mind, and I don't think I communicated that as effectively as I could have.
This is Brooke for the record. Can I follow up on Adrian's comment?
Absolutely.
So Adrian, thank you for taking the time to even do the homework and making the connection. I think what is really important about what you're saying is identifying, number one, what is the policy and what is the opportunity for this body to pay attention to a policy that could be impacting the strategic action plan. And so I'm wondering if it makes sense for what you just raised around like ADUs, and because it's housing related, actually going to the housing tab, if we could maybe move over a bit, Abigail, to the housing tab. If you click the arrow on the very far left at the bottom, yeah, next to policies, there should be a housing tab. And so here, if we identify one of the goals, we have preserving the existing affordable housing. So that's existing housing stock. If you scroll down, or I'm sorry, the first goal actually focuses on promoting the development of new supportive housing units. If you scroll up a little bit more, provide the resources and the support necessary to further expand and develop the inventory. And so if this particular ADU legislation provides resources that could expand the inventory, along with AB 540, if that could be used to expand the inventory, I think it would be important for us to like log that here as a comment or something to connect the dots related to this particular goal. Because now we've got funding and opportunity, like can we follow that through and see how these, through the rulemaking process, how this legislation is going to be rolled out? Is it going to be used to develop housing for people experiencing homelessness? Like, can we track it through the rulemaking and implementation process? But tracking it as an opportunity, I think, is where I hear you, Adrian, as like calling out that we've got this new legislation. Does that make sense, or any thoughts on that?
Thank you, Brooke. On my document, I also have this on strategic issue 1. I did not see on my phone that it was pulled up to policy, and so I apologize.
Oh, no, it wasn't your fault. I just thought I'd connect dots. It was hidden.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, I don't think I have the current copy of this. I was like searching through all my emails, so I was like, so is there any way that I could someone send this to me, like the updated one? I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Brooke, for the record, does that make sense to sort of have us connect the dots though to the legislation and what goal sort of it aligns with? Because I don't know if we need to necessarily update our action plan goals and all the actions, but is it a matter of us connecting the dots with where there's new legislation or new policy that could be impacting, and like almost like speaking to this being a living document, we can now update it with new opportunities or things that are happening statewide.
Yes. I think that makes sense, Brooke. In fact, if I could maybe if I could maybe share just something from if I could share my screen. My team has been kind of taking this on and doing some exploration. I will say it's not complete, but what they've done, what we've been doing is looking at just took the action plan itself and under comments, really just identifying both state and federal, right? Because there are federal laws, federal things that have been happening, and looking, are there things that are impacting our activities? And so they're identifying, does it change anything for our activity or not? Are there statutory changes that addressed a burden? And are there some potential next days, 90-day steps that we might want to consider? And so that's kind of where they've been kind of adding some things in here, like this collaborative partnerships. They've identified, helped increase state agency coordination, creates new partnership opportunities. Next 90 days, identify 2 new agencies or private sector partners to fold into existing collaborative tables. They did not identify though, what I see here is which one of the bills or which one of the laws is impacting that, which I would have liked to have had there, but that's what they've been working on. So I don't know if that's helpful or not.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, I actually don't have the access to this document. I've been so y'all excuse me, but I will be able to fill in all of the legislation that is applicable in terms of education, specifically the SB 177 piece of legislation that was just passed this year, where in short, it actually gives a provision which is not a good thing. And this is where I would need this group to support us on. Administrators are now given a little bit more leverage and leeway to suspend and expel homeless as well as foster kids without consideration of their situation and the trauma associated with being homeless, as it refers to repeated behaviors. This also is in effect legislation SB 177 pushes back against the restorative legislation around educational plans that were supported by AB 330 and 285 respectively. So once I get access to this document, I can fill it in. And there are other pieces of legislation dating back to SB 147 as well as AB 197 that have been passed in the last few legislative cycles that I will update once I get access. Thank you.
Work for the record. So I think these are really important policies, like with identifying what the policy is and ideally the year that it was passed to, and what's the action from that policy that impacts the activities that we've identified. Because I think without that, we can't just list the legislation, but what is it that is going to help advance this action plan? Maybe that's something that we could go in and just provide those details. I think what you had showed, Michelle, is a lot of great information. And so coupled with, like you said, the legislation or the policy that references that and what it does, I think gives us a lot of context.
Thank you for pausing so that we could actually take a look at this and get additional refined directives on this. I think this is such a very powerful tool. And looking at from where we started to where we are now, this really gives us, you know, I believe like a more refined purpose for this work that we're doing. And I absolutely love this. Seeing where we went from developing the strategic issues to now applying policy and moving the work forward, I think is wonderful. And it's a great way to shore up the supports that we're seeing around the state, and then also being a valuable partner in adding our perspective because we have this collection of the work.
I'm pondering on, and this is probably a question for our DAG. So Devin, pay attention. This is a heads up for you. This is the kind of the question that comes up all the time, in that we aren't able to, we're kind of strung by the fact that we can't use a shared space to put the document and all of us work on the document at the same time. But I don't want us to duplicate effort either, right? So the work gets slowed down if we're waiting on one person and then it gets sent to another person and then sent to another person. So I'm trying to think through the most efficient way, given the constraints that we have, given that we are a state public body, how we can move forward in populating this information into our action plan. If folks are amenable, I can continue because we're almost done. We're not quite done fully compiling all of the information into the action plan with the comments that I had there, but I can have the team go back and finish the comments and then put the applicable law in there. And then I can send it on, or we can send it on to the next people or person or a small group to populate the next thing. Or we can break up tasks and send it, I can send mine in and then everybody else can send different pieces to Abigail and team, and Abigail can compile everything into one document. So how do we want to move forward? Ideally, I'd love to have a shared document. We can all just work it at once, but I don't think we are allowed to do that.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, once we find out like what parameters that we need to operate under, I am totally okay with updating the document because I now have it. Thank you. I'm so excited right now. And moving from there, whatever our, DAG or whoever decides like what to do with it, I'm definitely amenable to that because this work is too important to let it just like fall by the wayside. I know that our group won't do that. So having a purposeful path forward would be very helpful.
Devin, do you have some guidance for us?
No, ma'am. I'm fairly new. Today is my second day, so I'm just kind of paying attention.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
I'm sorry. No, ma'am. Today is my second day, so I'm just paying attention to what you guys have going on and just kind of going off of that. Not at this moment, no.
And Michelle, may I?
Please, Abigail.
Oh yes, Devin is our new AA1. She's not part of the Attorney General's office. So just
Oh,
to
I thought she was our new DAG.
no, she's not.
Oh, well, huh. I'm sorry.
You're
I got
okay.
that wrong. I elevated you to the DAG, Devin.
You did, and I was nervous. I didn't know
Man,
what.
I'm ready to give you all the credit, girl.
But I'm ready to learn.
Okay. Sorry about that. Sorry about my misunderstanding. Okay, so based on my assumption, we cannot have an open shared document. So Dr. Janelle, why don't we at this point, why don't you start putting your information in? You populate what you can. I'll myself and my team will finish up what we've started. We'll get that sent over to Abigail and team. We may need to add a column. Brooke, can we add columns to this document?
Yes.
Okay, so we may need to add some columns to the document for the work that we're doing. So we can figure that out once we start getting the information. For anybody else, same thing. If you've got information that needs to be added, that can be added, that it doesn't have to be the whole document. It could be you have looked at one piece of legislation or two pieces of legislation, and you've really kind of figured out where the intersectionality is or how it impacts. Or maybe you've been, working in one of the strategic issues and you've really been looking at how legislation impacts that strategic issue. And you've really dived into that. Give us what you've got for that. Anything you've done, anything you can do is helpful. Do what you can, right? And help us do that, the implications of state and or federal laws and how they are impacting what our activities are. Do they make a change? Do we need to consider something different? Are there things that they impact what we're doing? Does it drive something that we need to do? Or does it help make things easier? How does it make things easier? Does it connect something from this strategic issue, an activity in this strategic issue to an activity in another strategic issue? And does that help make some things different or connect in a different way than what we thought otherwise? You know, I'm not sure exactly at this point what the intersectionality is. But if there's things that you all are smart and you all have a different lens and a different view on things than what I do. And so that's why you're here. And that's why we all are collectively looking at things. And so we need your input and we need you to help us think this through so that we collectively have the best product that we can help our state with. Dr. Janelle?
Thank you very much for that, Madam Chairwoman. And with respect to the work that you and your group has already started and based on Ms. Page's feedback, I am okay with giving you the space on the document to allow you and your team to finish those tie-ins that were recommended, and then you can kick it to me or however you want to do that, just so that I don't disrupt the flow because you've already put some work into your space. Is that okay? Because I can create a document offline, and then once it's kicked to me, I can fill it in. It's just that you had already started work and y'all had put things in there, and I don't want to, disrupt that. Thank you.
That's fine. Either way you want to do it, Dr. Janelle, that's fine with me. We can absolutely work with that. So if you want me to continue on and finish it and kick it to you, I'm glad to do that. Okay.
Madam Chairwoman, I agree with that. I just want to respect the work that you've begun, and then I can pick up from there.
Okay. Adrian, what process would you like to go through to get the stuff that you've done? We want to make sure we capture the work that you've done.
I could just email you and you can look and see if it's duplicative.
Okay.
I can also do the same if that's easier, just so that we remain within the parameters of the function of the group. Dr. Janelle, for the record.
If you want, Dr. Janelle, you can do that, and we can go from there.
Thank you, Ms. Adrian, for that suggestion.
Other discussion, thoughts, ideas? I don't need to drive this conversation, so, I'm.
Michelle, this is Adrian. Are you able to share the working draft that you've done already so that way we can take a look at it? Or would you prefer to wait until your team is finished?
Yeah, I can have I can send it to Abigail this afternoon and let her distribute it as a draft if the team would like me to. Whatever is the pleasure of the team, I'm glad to share.
I'm hesitant to have too many versions circulating, but I personally am interested to see what your draft looks like. So I'll leave it to the decision of the group.
I'm open to thoughts and suggestions.
For the record, I think the most recent version to manage the version control would be helpful, because it does feel like there's, the more that we have multiple versions, I think it gets confusing. If we're not saving, even saving the name of update this date with such and such's name, I think that we had that challenge before with a document that we were trying to circulate that but didn't update or capture someone's updated information. So however whatever the process is, we need to just make sure we're consistent and hopefully sending the most updated version.
So you're saying wait until I'm done and then send it?
I think that'd be ideal.
I know this wasn't put to a vote, but I second that motion. Thank you.
Other thoughts, suggestions, comments? Are there other things, the other thing that we had talked about, not only with the legislative session and, any bills or laws that have passed, was if there are any changes or adjustments that need to be made to the plan. So did anybody come with any thoughts or ideas of any changes that might need to be made to the plan?
This is Brooke for the record. I think it would be hard to make changes without hearing back from ICHH on the action plan and getting some direction as to how they want us to move forward with managing this process or not. So I don't know if that's something that we can table until after they meet and provide us with some guidance.
Well, we absolutely can because it's up to us. So we can absolutely table that until after they meet.
This is Adrienne. Can somebody let me know when the next meeting of the ICHH is and confirm that this topic is on the agenda?
Yes, Adrian. They are set to meet on Thursday at 1 p.m. And yes, this is part of the agenda.
Thank you.
Do you know what number it is on their agenda by chance, Abigail?
Let me pull it up. My apologies. On the agenda, agenda number 10, it's only an update from Brooke Page regarding the strategic plan. So I don't think it's part on their agenda. Yes, that's the only thing that's mentioned here for Thursday's meeting.
Brooke, for the record, so is the intent that we represent what we presented a few months ago about the action plan? Because we were anticipating receiving some guidance from them on the action plan. So is this an actionable item for them to provide feedback, or?
It's for possible action, so I think they can vote on it.
So maybe reiterate the presentation and give them, okay. Thank you.
And Abigail, just for your information, I'm not going to be able to make that meeting. Their meetings always seem to conflict with a standing meeting I have with the Rural Nevada COC Steering Committee meeting. So I always have a conflict when they have that meeting.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, I have a quick question about that. Is anyone from our TA group, aside from our chairwoman or any other designee, able to attend those meetings? Or are those just kind of closed because we're like technical assistants and so we're just kind of separate? I'm just asking for, a friend or two.
It's a public meeting. You can definitely join, but if you have any questions, I think you can wait until the public comment.
Anything else on this action item? Or on the action plan, I mean.
This is Adrienne. Does anybody know if the creation of the Nevada Affordable Housing Council has been created, or what that process is? Because I'd love to have this group connect with them, or some sort of coordinated communication, but I don't know that much about that group.
I don't know. Does anybody know?
Brooke, for the record, I think there was nominations that went out that they were identifying the committee itself, but I'm not sure if that's been decided.
Thanks, Brooke.
Okay. Other questions or thoughts regarding the action plan? So we've got our homework assignments, and we're gonna also wait for direction from the ICHH Thursday. And hopefully they'll give Brooke some direction on Thursday. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. I do have a question. I don't know if anybody knows anything about this, but it seems like it might be important for the work that we're doing for our plan and all of that. Has anybody heard about the Nevada GOP proposing a coyote compound based on Florida's alligator Alcatraz?
Brooke, for the record, I've not heard of that.
It was on ABC earlier this morning.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, the only news that I had seen was about our governor mentioning that they would be cooperating, or I guess police force or something would be cooperating with ICE, but I didn't know anything about a coyote compound. And if the context is similar to what is taking place in the other state, it does it is cause for concern. But then it also highlights the importance of shoring up these strategic issues and making sure our ICHH committee is well aware and abreast and hopefully open to any suggestions that we have to push back in terms of making sure that we're doing everything that we can to address and mitigate homelessness. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Janelle. Yeah, I don't know the accuracy of the reporting. That's why I was asking if anybody knew of anything about this. It came to my attention today, just before this meeting. But if it's true, I think advocacy definitely is going to be critical, and I think it's going to be something that this body is definitely needs to be aware of. Okay. So with that, if there are nothing else on the strategic plan or the action plan, then I will go ahead and close this agenda item. And we will move on to agenda item 8, which is discussion of agenda items for the next meeting, which is September 16th, 2025.
Brooke, for the record, it seems like we needed to add a topic that allowed us to discuss the criteria for priorities related to geographic representation for this committee. I also think we need to do a follow-up on the ICHH meeting and next steps related to the action plan.
I have a clarification question, Brooke. For the criteria for the geographic representation, do you want to discuss just the geographic representation, or do you want to discuss all of the scoring criteria for new members?
Yeah, I think all. Sorry. Thank you.
Okay. And then I'm sorry, what was the second thing that you had said?
A follow-up on the outcome of the ICHH
Yes.
meeting and the strategic plan.
Thank you. So if we're going to, this is a question for the group. If we're going to discuss the scoring criteria and possibly make adjustments, do we still want to, because we've had 2 items that have been kind of static items for a minute. What are currently items 4 and 5, which are discussion for possible vote to fill vacant seats and introduction of new and continuing members. Do we want to take those items off of the next agenda?
Brooke, for the record, I think we need to keep the introduction on there, especially if Arasha joins the next meeting. But new members, I'm wondering if maybe we can do an update as to where we are with our members, our committee makeup, and if we have any vacancies, if there are any applicants that are in the pool.
Okay. Any other items for the next agenda? Y'all are being quiet. Okay. Anybody comes up with anything that you think of after we get off this meeting and you go, dang it, I should have said that, let us know. Send that message off to Abigail, Brooke, and myself, and let us know what your thoughts are. If not, we'll go ahead and move forward with this agenda and our regular standing items. And I will close this agenda item. And we will move on to our last public comment for this meeting, which is agenda item number 9. No action may be taken upon a matter raised until the matter has been specifically added to an agenda. Comments are listed or limited to 3 minutes. If you're making a public comment via phone, please call 1-775-321-6111. The ID number is 489-058. 294#. We are now open for public comment. Please unmute yourself and state your name for the council. This is your last call for public comment. I know we've got a statewide conference coming up.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, very briefly, I am pleased to inform you that we are making marked progress in the development of our Nevada Compass app. And in reference to Chairwoman's announcement about the state conference, we are also working, we're on the planning committee to work together to have like a space to where we can have it open where providers can list themselves on the app. The app is literally being funded out of Nevada Department of Education. That is tied specifically to McKinney-Vento law in building awareness, also in identification and immediate enrollment of children and youth experiencing homelessness. This will be linked to multiple websites, which will include our First Five website, and it will address the needs in terms of triaging, meaning direct connections to service providers. So when a family comes in and they complete the student residency questionnaire and it's found that they're experiencing homelessness, registrars, service providers, administrators, our community liaisons, they will have at their fingertips a way to just literally click housing, food pantry, and all of that. So instead of like having 8,000 tabs open on a computer screen, the families themselves can be empowered to use it. But like, let's say someone is at Boys and Girls Club and someone mentions they're homeless, there will be a desktop model and ability. We've gone through the preliminary component of selecting the logos and different things like that. So you will be able to see that, and there will be a demo available as well. I believe I shared an email, I think like about a month or so ago, and I'll send it out again, where if you would be willing to send this out to all of your networks. We haven't had too many providers list themselves, and that's something that we will definitely need. Plus, we'll also be able to link to any resources that are provided by this group, as well as like Winged Wolf and a few other of our other service providers, so that we have a comprehensive listing that is also geolocated for the state of Nevada. But this is a major move because this will be the first time that we have something in the state of Nevada that is coming from education, but will link all of resources and service providers in addressing homelessness. So that will also be listed once we get the opportunity to update the strategic issues in the area of education and workforce development as well. And I'm very honored and pleased to be able to share it with you here. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Going once? Going twice? Okay, seeing none. Nothing came in via email while we were during our meeting, Abigail?
There is none.
Okay. Thank you. With that, we will close this last public comment, and it is 2:47. And at this point, we will adjourn the meeting of the Interagency Council on Homelessness to Housing Technical Assistance Committee. And we will see you same time, same place next month. Thank you all for being here and participating. Y'all have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.